Hiya, three. Welcome to your English lesson today. So we're going to start with our retrieval. Okay, you have this on your worksheet. So what I'd like you to do, without looking back at the story, so thinking about our story of the firework maker's daughter so far, how much of it can you remember from last lesson? So use what you can remember to complete these sentences and write them on your worksheet for me. So the goddess was magnificent because... The goddess was magnificent, but the goddess was magnificent, so. Pause the video here. Have a go at completing those now. Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to show you my answers. Now, they might not be the same as yours, and that's okay. What we're trying to do here is gain what we think is happening in the story and trying to pick out parts, so trying to retrieve parts. But also, it could be that you might have worded your question slightly different to mine. So that's okay. However, if when you look at my answers, they're not like yours at all, and you got really confused with it, maybe stop the video and go back to look at the story from last week. So you could either find your worksheets from last week and read through, or rewatch that video again. Because otherwise you won't know where you need to go next, and you might be a little bit confused for the next part of today's lesson. So it might not be that our answers are the same. They might be similar. That's okay. But if they're very different, then we'll need to just work on that a bit more. Okay, come with me to the answers then. So this is just what a good answer will look like, okay? So again, like I said, these are a guide, but others are possible as long as they make sense, all right? So here's my answers. Let's see if they're similar to yours. The goddess was magnificent because she was dressed in a robe the colour of the moon, with silver rings and amulets and a necklace of jasmine flowers. She sounds beautiful, doesn't she? The goddess was magnificent, but became angry with those who asked too much of her. She sounds a little bit of a tyrant. The goddess was magnificent, so Chulak felt a little bit overwhelmed by her. Did you get something similar? Brilliant. And if you didn't, like I said, just go back and have a look at the reading from last week. Okay, let's get on with our lesson today then. So today we're going to be focusing on our Iggy inference to infer meaning from what is being stated and implied. Now, to be successful with that today, you're going to need to read each question carefully and underline the keywords. Do you remember when we did that last week? And I talked about making sure that you have underlined the keywords in your question and then looked for those keywords in your text, and that will help you. Remember, with inference, it's not retrieval. You can't just read the text and pull the answer out of the text. It's about building up the clues, putting the bits of evidence together to get your answer. Okay, so that's why it's really important to underline the key text in your question, because you know what you're kind of looking for then in your text. Okay, so to be successful as well, you need to apply your own background knowledge to help you understand what you're reading. So sometimes like I said, you can't just pull out the answer from the text. You'll need to think, what is it asking me? What is it telling me here? And you'll need to use the knowledge that you already have. You're going to look carefully in the text for clues about how a character is feeling. So you might find different sentences where it says the tears were rolling down his face, or his hands were clenched together tightly, or she flung herself onto the floor. So it's those things. It's not saying he was feeling really upset, he was feeling really angry, she was feeling really frustrated. It's giving you clues. And remember, when we're inferring, we are building up evidence, we're finding clues. Okay, you're going to use the quotes from the text to support your answers, and you're going to copy quotes exactly how they're written. So remember, that's a piece of supporting evidence. Well, I think this is happening because, and here's my evidence to show. Okay, so what does inferencing Iggy do? So he makes inferences from the text. Can you pause the video here though? Have a quick chat with the person in the room. What does he do? What does he help you to do? Okay, shall we see? So it means he is there to help you to hunt for clues. And I gave you that already, didn't I, in the last slide? And these clues might help you to work out how someone's feeling, why somebody did something, why something is happening. So there's two types of questions that inferencing Iggy would like to ask. And mostly they are why And how do you know? Okay, so those are the two main questions. When you get a question with those words in, you know it's an inferencing question. So here's some of the questions that he might ask you. Okay, how do you think the character's feeling, and why do you think that? What do you think the author meant when? Why do you think the author uses this particular word? What effect did the author want to create by? Find words to show how the character feels about. And how do you know how this character is feeling? So those are the questions that are going to get you to build those clues. You can't find the answer directly. You need to build the clues. You are a detective, remember. Okay, so let's be detectives together here. All right, so we're going to do this one together. So I've got a piece of text here and I've got 3 questions. I'm going to read the text to you and then we're going to talk about the questions, okay? So, crack, thunder struck and rain poured. Max stared blankly out of the window, trying to contain his emotions that raged like the weather. He was beginning to lose it. Dropping the kite from his hand, Max broke into full sobs. His mother comforted him. There, Max. We'll just find something else to do. She began to unpack the picnic basket that was on the counter and offered him a sandwich. Max snapped, I don't want a sandwich! And a flash from the sky lit up the living room. Boom! Mum sighed. So here, how do we know that Max is angry? What evidence can we find in the text that tells us that Max is angry? And why is Max angry? What's happened? And what were Max and Mum planning to do today? What were they planning to have a go at? So what I'd like you to do, I don't want you to answer these, I just want you to have a chat about them. How do we know that he's angry? Why is he angry? And what were they planning to do today? Pause the video, just have a chat in the room. Okay, I'm going to show you my answers now. Okay, so, let me move my camera right up there. Okay, so how do we know he's angry? Well, he was crying and then he snapped at his mum, didn't he? And often when people snap at somebody, it means they're they're feeling quite on edge. And when we say that somebody's on edge, that means they could be quite angry. They could end up crying, which he did do that, didn't he? Could be feeling quite frustrated. So he snapped at his mum, I don't want a sandwich. And can you see in my question answer here, I've actually put the full quote. Max snapped, I don't want a sandwich. So I took that from the text up here to support what I've said in my answer. So he was crying and he snapped at his mum, and that's telling me that he was angry. But why was he angry? What were they meant to do today? And what happened? What happened for them not to be able to do it? So he was angry because he couldn't go on the picnic. But what happened for that, what was the reason behind that, was because the weather changed, didn't it? And we know that because the thunder struck and the rain poured. And then at the end as well, there was a big boom of thunder. So he was angry because he couldn't go on a picnic because of the weather. And then that tells me that they were meant to be going on a picnic and they couldn't, because the quote there says, she, and that's his mum, began to unpack the picnic basket. And that was making Max feel really, really angry. He could see the weather was turning. He knew he couldn't go on a picnic. And then when Mum started to unpack it, that was it. That was kind of like the last straw. He'd had enough now. So what were they planning on doing today? Well, they were planning to go to the park to fly his kite and have a picnic. But it doesn't tell me that in the text. That's what I've inferred. I've picked out those clues. It said here as well that he dropped the kite from his hand. So that tells me that he's going to need to go to a big space to fly a kite. Park is a great place for that. And it's a really good activity to do when you're going on a picnic too. Mum unpacked that picnic basket. So that gives me a really good clue there that they were going on a picnic. And so that, putting those clues together, have told me that's what he's doing today. He was going on a picnic and he was going to fly his kite. Okay, I've got one for you to do now, all right? I'm just going to move my camera down just ever so slightly. Okay. So I'd like you to have a go at this one by yourself now. So, why does I'll start again. Why does Mum call to Tommy as she walks in? What happened to the window and why did Tommy leave? Okay, so I want you to have a go at answering this now. I'm not going to do answers for this. I will talk you through afterwards. So pause the video, have a go at answering this. Okay, welcome back. So what did you decide? Why did Mum call as she walked in? Well, if we have a little bit look further down the text, she's got groceries and she actually says that, doesn't she? I need to put my teeth in there. She actually says that, doesn't she? I could sure use some help with these groceries. So she's clearly struggling with all of her bags and trying to carry everything in. So that's why she calls him, because she wants him to come and help her. But what had happened? Now, there was glass all over the floor. So if there's glass over the floor, something's been smashed. And what could have been smashed? Well, it tells me the window from the picture window all over the living room floor. And there was a baseball not far away. Being the detectives that we are, that's telling me he threw his ball at the window and it smashed. Oh dear. So Tommy smashed the window with his baseball. And why do you think he left? Well, that last little bit there, I'm going to kill you, Tommy, as Mum yelled to herself as she realised Tommy's shoes were gone. Tommy knew he was going to get into big trouble. So he quickly put his shoes on and he left, didn't he? Went to the park probably, or to his friend's house. So he didn't have to confront Mum when she came home. Did you get those answers there? Brilliant. I'm really pleased about that. Okay, let's move on then. So here, what we have got is the firework maker's daughter. Next chapter. I couldn't think then what I needed to say. I'm not going to read today. It's your turn to read yourself. I want you to read that, and then you're going to have a go at answering your questions. But before we continue, I just want to give you this little bit of vocabulary teaching. So you're going to read the word harsh. Now, harsh is an adjective. So in the book, the quote is, harsh, barren walls rose to left and right. So it's just got one syllable, harsh. It doesn't have a root word because it doesn't have an ed ending. And the definition is unpleasantly rough or jarring to the senses, cruel or severe. So somebody could be harsh when they're speaking to you, or that somebody could be, something could be harsh as they're doing something. Okay, or it could be that something is also harsh. So, for example, here, the harsh winters made it difficult for plants to survive. So the synonyms of that word are unpleasant, severe, cruel, savage, rough. Okay, so those are the word that you might find a little bit tricky in there, but now you know. So pause the video here, have a go at reading, and come back to me for questions. See you in a minute. Okay then, so you've got these questions that I need you to answer now, all right? I'm not going to help you with those. You're going to have a go at answering those questions yourself. Think about what we did earlier. Think about those success criteria to make you successful in this today. What do you need to do? Now, you've been given the sentence stems here to help you along the way. So what you'll need to think about is looking at the sentence stem. What is it I'm looking for in my text? What do I need to find? Okay, and that's going to help you answer those questions. So pause the video here. Have a go at answering those questions now.